NASCAR's best square off at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. It's All-Star Weekend, baby. Plus, a little bit of truck action coming for you, too. Hang out with us on the Backroad tonight. We'll be right here.
It's a non-points race, but it is a short race. Checker flag. That's all this race.
Two from the States.
All right, and welcome down the back road in between media's NASCAR betting program. It's All-Star Weekend as the Cup and the Truck Series head to North Wilkesboro Speedway. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, and tonight I'm joined by an American hero who I'm lucky to call my colleague and my co-host. He's Rod Villagomez. Hot Rod, how you doing tonight, man?
I am fantastic. It's All-Star Weekend, and I feel that buzz, right? I mean, you know that this is a fun race that we're about to have. We're close to the Indy 500. Like, there's so much stuff going on in the racing world that it's hard not to be excited for it.
I completely agree with you, and I don't know if you've had the same luck as well the last few years, but with the All-Star race and with the Clash, I become very profitable at these types of races. When you split up the field, when you have an open where you have maybe 3 or 4 cars you think can actually win and you're still getting plus money odds on them. When you have 22 cars on the track rather than 36, it feels a little bit more in control. And I got to hand it to the books this week. They were out like very early, I felt, compared to most All-Star or Busch Light Clash weekends. And like I'm ready to go, man. I'm feeling good about it. I love these types of weekends. It's just another opportunity to keep padding our bankroll a little bit here.
Yeah, and again, because there's not that many cars on the track, obviously your chances are your choices are limited.
Yes.
And yet the odds are actually favorable because it's still sort of a crapshoot, right? I mean, even though you kind of know the better drivers going into it, the books are still kind of treating this like a super speedway where we're like, well, we don't know because anything can happen and anything can, even though we know a little bit differently that it's not really always the case.
Yeah, and there might be a little more randomness happening this weekend. There's a promoter's caution. We'll talk about that when we get to the Rise and Forecast. We're going to break down the entire field for you. We'll break down the format, everything you need to know as a sports bettor and as a fan going into All-Star Weekend. We'll also get in the rear view. That'll be our Kansas reaction, our news update, plus some championship track power rankings for you guys tonight. And then we'll get into the parking garage props, our best bets for the Cup and the Truck Series. No Xfinity. They'll be back next weekend as we roll back to Charlotte. Shout out to the IBT family. As Rod mentioned, this is such an exciting time for race fans. We're right around the corner from the Indianapolis 500, from the Coke 600, from Monaco. It is all good in the motorsports betting landscape right now. We got some friends rolling down with us as well. We're even a day early here, going live on the IBT YouTube channel with Marcus ready to go. Of course, predicting this man, Christopher Bell, as always. Good to see you, Marcus. Thanks for making time for us. And Marcus wants to know, who are your picks for the All-Star race? We want to hear from you guys. Drop it in the comments below. Drop it in the live chat. We want to know who are you taking here as we head back to North Wilkesboro. And a reminder, if you guys like the YouTube version, also make sure you're checking out the audio version. You can now stream the audio edition of the show weekly on Apple Podcasts. We put that up on Fridays. Leave us a review over there. We will make sure that we enter you in a giveaway. Rod, Elliott just sent me like a whole box of stuff. He's like, I don't want this. I'm moving. I need you to hold on to it. Some of it was like birthday gifts for me, and others was like a bunch of random die casts we're going to give away. I mean, we got Ken Schrader, we got Josh Bear, we got so much different stuff happening over there. So all people have to do is rate and review, man. That's it.
I mean, it's that simple. If there's anything that's ever as simple as that, I want it. But I tell you what, there's a store where I work up in the northern part of California.
Yeah.
They've got a gigantic. I'm gonna have to start buying some of those so we can start giving away out here because there's a lot of choice old NASCAR stuff. So
okay,
yeah, remind me next time I'm up there. I'll
okay.
Send some pictures and we'll pick one out.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of giveaways, we have more giveaways, including we're going to do a Joey Logano signed polo just in a few weeks. And to get invested with that and to get invested with our weekly betting model and our Discord with ourselves, Ryan from FantasyRace.com, and the rest of the IBT Racing family, all you got to do is click on the link in the episode description. That's going to send you to the InBetweenMedia.com website. And there you can purchase an IBT Racing family plan. It's $3.99 per month or $36 for the year, less than $1 per race, because we do these special races like the All-Star Race, like the Busch Light Clash, and we're throwing dingers out. We have been swinging an extremely hot bat. Part of that's because of our guy over there at Ryan from My Fantasy Race. Part of it's because of our betting model as well. So if you guys want to get invested with that, if you want to come over where the cool kids are hanging out, making money, talking sports betting on the Reggie, make sure you're getting over there in the IBT family. Link for that is in the episode description as well. And last announcement that we put out a couple weeks ago, that it's still very much true today as well, that you can also catch the show on 101.5 FM, Talking West Tennessee. We're on at 8 p.m. on Saturday night. So we appreciate the great folks out there in Western Tennessee. If you guys catch us and you're on the radio, you're listening, you're doing your driving, whatever you're doing, make sure you come over to the YouTube channel. We're at IBT_media over there. You can find us on InBetweenMedia.com or at IBT_media on Twitter as well. But Rod, I think that's enough plugs, man. What do you say? We turn back the clock a little bit and head back to Kansas. What do you say?
Let's go, Toto.
It was a fun race out there in Kansas, starting on Saturday, where we had the trucks and Carson Hocevar flips the bird to Layne Riggs and Corey Heim outrights. I was heavy on Corey Heim, man. I thought he was going to get it done there. Had a great start to that race. It was looking like it was going to be a gravy train once again with Heim time. It was not. Carson Hocevar shows up. Elliott cashed that outright, so shout out to him. And then a little bit of an interesting race at Kansas, I'd say, on Sunday, Rod. A lot of mixed opinions out there on the internet. I know the Jeff Gluck, was it a good race poll, didn't do as good as most of these races out at Kansas Speedway do. But I still thought it was fun. I was on the Larson outright that I got down on plus 375 after practice and qualifying, but I was pretty much on him all week. Hit that Bowman top 10. So I left nearly 5 units in the green. I was happy. Were you as a fan and were you as a bettor, Rod?
And see, this is where I sometimes think that we as NASCAR fans, because we watch it on TV, and so we judge the race based on the coverages. And that's the tough part because, you know, we're at the whim of the producers, of the directors, and all the people that are bringing us the race. We don't sometimes get to see the actual race. I mean, and so that's where I think we depart from, is this a good race or not? Because from what we saw, I didn't mind. Like, I thought the race was actually pretty good, regardless of whether or not I cashed any bets, which, by the way, none, other than the winning car number under 11.5.
That's let's go, baby. Right? Let's go.
But that's, you know, there was a lot of great racing up and down and in fact, Cody from the NASCAR Gambling Podcast was there actually covering the race. And he said himself, like, the actual being there, watching the cars on the track in person was actually a lot more fun than watching the cover. I mean, which we always know is the correct way to do it. But again, you know what I'm saying? Like, for me, it was entertaining because I don't always just focus in on like my bets or the leaders or whatever. I try to pay attention up and down the pylon. So to me, I thought it was entertaining, but you know, some people,
I mean, and there was a ton of movement still in a race where it was dominated by Kyle Larson, who led 221 of 267 laps. Like, I had an Alex Bowman bet, Rod, and he started in like, I think P19, and like 6 laps in, he's in the top 10, right? There's a lot of movement. Tire wear was still very much present. I also had a Zane Smith top Ford that was cashing at one point. I also had a 7-1 on the top 10 line. I think I had the 60-1 on the top Ford. Zane Smith top 10 in both stages. I was like, here we go, baby. He ends up finishing outside of the cashing there in P16, but good run for John Hunter Nemechek. How about him? Another top 10 for JHN, man. He's starting to turn it on. I know Elliott had a little 10-1 action on him, so congrats to him on that. A couple other bets that Elliott hit on Sunday. He hit Preece plus 250 over Hocevar, Gragson, and Heim. I know I touched on maybe Preece being a good look for a top 10. He definitely was. He cashed that one as well. Barry top 10 for Elliott. Bowman top 10 for Elliott, a plus money, plus 130 for him. So good all the way around. He hit that Hocevar outright. He got Honeycutt over Carruth. Did he do any better in the trucks, Rod? Because like I said, I was on Corey Heim to win. I was on Corey Heim over William Byron. Heim ends up finishing fourth. Willie B ends up scraping out a third place. So no money for me. I was down and licking my wounds a little bit heading into Sunday.
It was a tough one because there was so much chaos that happened early on that kind of took out Caden Honeycutt. I had him over Brandon Jones, right? And then that late race fiasco with Honeycutt, I think it was a penalty that sent him back into the pack again. Grant Enfinger top 5. That first pit stop, I think screwed everything up because it put so many trucks in bad positions. Grant Enfinger never did recover. Tyler Ankrum, right? He got taken out early and fought back, but then didn't get all the way where I needed him to as a top 3. And I had taken Byron to win just because I figured he would be fast. And if we thought Hocevar was going to be fast, then we would probably figure out that Byron would be fast and Carruth was fast. And I mean, I knew that it was probably going to be a Heim win, even though, everybody said Carson Hocevar, but you'll never see me put an outright on Hocevar. But yeah, I mean, that's where that was. And I figured Byron should do it, but he didn't. And here we are.
Yeah. I loved what we saw on Friday, but it did end up, or Saturday, excuse me. We did end up seeing a DQ for Layne Riggs. A legal bet is what NASCAR is rolling here. How many DQs have we seen this year, man? Whether it was Preece and Logano a couple weeks ago at Talladega, or it was Parker Kligerman starting off this season with a DQ. There have been so many of these, man. It feels like each and every week. Jesse Love at Talladega, or not Talladega, but one of the shorter tracks we were at a few weeks ago as well. So why do you think this is just like teams trying to get an edge, or do you think this is just the competition committee getting a little more strict? What do you think about all these DQs we've seen so far? I mean, we're only about a quarter of the way through the season, and my goodness, it feels like every single week someone's getting DQ'd here.
I got to think it's a little column A, a little column B, right? The comb that the committee is using is getting a little bit finer, and the race guys are trying to get a little more of an edge. I mean, we know that's NASCAR, right? That they've always been trying to find that fraction of an inch to give them that much more speed. And so, yeah, I mean, teams are going to push the envelope. So it's that cat and mouse game. I guess the Tom and the Jerry are starting to get a little too close together, and it's, this is where we're at now, where teams are like, well, I guess we are overstepping the line, or the line is getting that much smaller.
Yeah, and then there's another headline that comes out of Sunday's race here, and my goodness, we finally give colleagues some props, and we get a blown engine early in the race for AJ Allmendinger. He calls out ECR, drops some very colorful language over the radio multiple times, calling out ECR, the engine manufacturer, for colleague there. You're a bigger Dinger fan than most of us. You back him on a pretty regular basis, both in the fantasy realm and in betting as well, Rod. So what do you think of your guy, AJ, here? Getting a little heated, some classic AJ Allmendinger clips out there on the internet. And, like, I understand why he's upset, man, because that was a really good racetrack for him. I thought AJ Allmendinger had a shot to be competitive last week. And in addition to that, it happened right to begin the season as well in the Daytona 500. Barely got any laps in there before it happened. So it's so hard to trust these colleague guys when it comes to putting our cold hard cash on, because, hey, I mean, do we have an engine problem with the ECR engines?
Well, and so again, it's a matter of first and foremost, I love him to death because he is my spirit driver. That dude will always give it to you the way he's going to give it to you. And I guess the difference between him and Hocevar is that he's not doing it from a standpoint of being cocky. He's legit a passionate guy. But for as far as this is concerned, it's got to be so frustrating to know that you've got the talent to be a competitor, right? But to get into the equipment and have it just collapse and no, it'd be one thing if you go and you tag the wall every single race. At least it's you. At least you know that you're the one putting it into the wall and you're the problem. But when you get in that car, you expect it to turn over, and it doesn't turn over, or it turns over and it combusts. Well, that's the equipment, and you, as a driver, probably get frustrated. I couldn't even imagine what it's like for him right now, knowing that he doesn't know whether or not he's going to make 5 laps, 10 laps, the whole race. Anytime he gets in the car, I understand his frustration.
Yeah, I mean, he was sitting top 16 in points heading into Kansas. He now drops to 19th in points. Like, these are the margins we're dealing with, man. There isn't much room for error. And he was at a position where, hey, maybe I can point my way in here. I might need it unless I can pull off a road course win before then. So you need all the points you can get, man. When you're just throwing them out of the gate and getting no points and leaving with absolutely nothing to show for it, it's tough. And I don't blame AJ Allmendinger. We'll certainly continue to back him, I think. Ty Gibbs, I was flirting maybe with a little long shot top 10 last week. It's going to stay off my card for now. That's for sure. A couple things in the chat I did want to get to before we move on as well. First of all, we got our guy Blaze Wolf, number 8, saying maybe not the race win, but I expect some fireworks from Rowdy. What's up, Blaze? Good to see you, man. I know we have one person on this particular program who is very high on Rowdy this weekend, so a little more on that later. But Blaze Wolf's a great guy, hangs out in our Discord frequently, so we appreciate you, man. And then we also have Jerry checking in saying hi all. What's up, Jerry? Hope you're having a great evening here as well. And Rod, this is why I love our community, man, because we're usually, every single Thursday we're live, same place, same bad channel. And today we go a day early. We go at a weird time just because I have a Thursday night wedding, because apparently that's a thing now. Apparently we're just doing Apparently you're not only doing Friday and Saturday night weddings, you're also doing Thursday now. So because of that, because of your work schedule, because of Elliott's schedule as well, we had to go a day early here, and still the whole crew showing up. We appreciate that, man.
Hey, listen, if you build it, they will come. And that's exactly what we've got going on here. So we love you all for that.
I just watched Field of Dreams for the first time through.
And you're not still crying?
Dude, I was taken back. I was sitting with my father-in-law. Like, that's a perfect movie to watch with your father-in-law too, I felt like. But my goodness, was that a good movie. I always knew like the premise of it and the Field of Dreams and everything like that, but loved it. Last headline here I want to get to before we get to the Horizon forecast and start breaking down the All-Star Weekend championship race news. So we had a couple weeks ago, Jordan Bianchi, of course, from The Athletic, from Dirty Mo Media. He's always got his head on a swivel. He's always out there sniffing around the garages, seeing what he can get. He told us a few weeks ago that it is likely that we are going to see the championship race back in Homestead. Well, not only do we have that, but now we have news that there might be potential rotation of the championship track. So, Rod, I went ahead and I put together some championship race track consideration power rankings. These are some tracks that I think should be considered for future races. I want to throw them out to you, and then I want to hear your opinion. Did I get them right? And then maybe who did I shaft a little bit? Who did I leave out of the picture here? And I want to start at the top. And again, Phoenix out of this list, and also Homestead, because we are going to be going to Phoenix this year. We'll be at Homestead in Miami next year. First up, number 1 in my power rankings, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I mean, not only is this a great 1.5 mile track, it has continued to age with perfection, but Las Vegas, is there a better place for your championship race, man? I mean, talk about sports betting that has slowly started to make its way into NASCAR, where Fox is even showing the odds now on TV, old school Fox. And then I'm sure we're going to see some new stuff added with the Prime here in a couple weeks as well. I'm sure we'll talk about that on the show. But Las Vegas, great track, great 1.5 miles. Not a cookie cutter by any means anymore either. The next gen's had some fantastic races there, different winners. So Las Vegas, 1 for me. 2, Charlotte. We only get to see it 1 time per year right now. I would love to go back there for a second run at it. The Roval's cool. Like, I don't hate on the Roval like I think a lot of NASCAR fans do, but it's time. I think it's kind of run its course a little bit. Would love to see another race back in Charlotte. And would there be a better place for a championship race than the home of NASCAR? I mean, this place buzzes every single Memorial Day weekend, man. I was down there, never for Memorial Day weekend, but just a random weekend in the summer. And the love and the vibe for racing down there is real. And I think bringing the championship race back to Charlotte would be exceptional. And then Kansas as well. I know it's a smaller market. I know it might be a little colder out there, but Kansas has some fantastic races start to finish, usually every single time. So those are my 3: Las Vegas, Charlotte, Kansas. What do you think of that order? Did I miss any? Would you rearrange that at all for your own personal rankings?
I mean, Vegas kind of makes the perfect amount of sense, right? I mean, this is, like you said, this is one of the tracks that always kind of produces a very good race. And, bringing the championship there, the betting aspect of it would be absolutely huge. The glitz, the glamour. I mean, that's almost why F1 in Las Vegas is doing so well, is because it's just a perfect marriage of that type of an environment. So I love that. Love Charlotte. In fact, Charlotte was the one that I was looking at as well when you were talking about this, because, you know, like you said, I love the Roval too, as much as the next guy, but like that, I mean, I know that Charlotte is Charlotte. And I think as far as championship is concerned, bringing that back and actually making that a championship race, that would be kind of special. And who can argue with Kansas, right? We just watched what Kansas can produce. There's a lot of people that weren't happy with this particular iterance, but you know, maybe the fall, it does get a little bit better for you. And yeah, I know that the weather is always a factor in all of these tracks as you start to go past a certain part on the map. But at the same time, it's like, you know, it seems like weather's a factor no matter what time of year it is for some of these tracks. So you might as well make it worthwhile.
And for everyone out there on the internet that's shouting like, hey, let's go to Bristol, let's go to Martinsville. I feel like these people are people who have not been around for the sport for the past 3 years since we've had this next gen car, because the next gen car, and I love short tracks, Rod. Like I grew up in the short track scene, dude. My dad was a dirt track racer. I've been to a ton of short tracks around the great Keystone State. NASCAR is not great on the short tracks right now. We need to be very, very clear. The option tire that we saw at Phoenix earlier this year, that was fun. Like I was all about that. Maybe if we could find a way to loop that in more. And like, I don't necessarily know if I want an option tire at my championship race though. So like, I'm just like, I would rather have it, which I know you couldn't just because of the media market and just kind of the horsepower and the package you're running. But I would like I think you'd get a better show of a championship race at a short, long track like Pocono or even like Indy. You know, I don't think it would be necessarily the best. What do you think about all the love the short tracks are getting? Do you think it has to be 1.5 miles? Do you think maybe there's room to go somewhere like Indy or a super speedway, or do we need to keep it at 1.5 miles?
Well, it's funny because as you start to think about what makes the championship race and why you need a championship race that can be kind of replicatable or you know, do it the same way over and over again. Could you imagine trying to have it at a road course? Because I mean, that's again, these are types of situations where there's so much you can't really predict a lot on a road course. 1.5 miles you can prepare for, right? The Las Vegas of the world, the Charlotte. It makes it a little more even for everybody else. But short track, it's the same type of situation. Like there's a short track accident can happen a lot more easily than 1.5 miles accident, right? And you don't want accidents to decide the championship, and that's why you're trying to take that out of the mix.
Yeah, I agree. I think Darlington, if they had a bigger media market, that would be another good one as well. New Hampshire, like I wouldn't hate that track. I think that would be good. You're also kind of close to New York City. We know the winner always flies to New York the next day, so that could be potentially in play. But again, just probably not a big enough area. It's going to be cold up there in November. So I think we kind of nailed it here. Las Vegas, Charlotte, Kansas. I think those are the three that are not currently predicted to be in the rotation that I think certainly should be. So
I agree.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here at the top of the show. In the rear view, let's turn the page with Horizon Forecast and break down North Wilkesboro Speedway.
Hey, Michael, it was only 20% chance of rain. I think we got all 20.
All right. And before we jump in here, wanted to shout out a couple more comments as well. First up, it's from our own Elliott Hicks. On his night off, he's saying, shout out to these two gents for filling in for me tonight. Under the weather, but hopefully on top of the betting cards this weekend. As always, brother, hope you're having a good night here out there in the Berg. And saying part of it, not doing it at Bristol, Martinsville, etc., is there around cities, urban areas, which is part of the appeal of the title weekend. Yeah, I get it. I totally get that, man. Blaze Wolf also saying, I'm going to the 600 next weekend. Can't wait for that. I also agree that Vegas makes sense for the championship race, but I'd love to see it at Charlotte. Might be biased since it's my home track. Man, I'm jealous, Blaze, that you're down there in the Charlotte area. It's a great area, man. Rod, have you been to Charlotte yet? You made your way over there? No?
I have not. No. Well, I mean, I've not been to the Charlotte track. In fact, I think I've maybe landed in Charlotte for like 20 minutes. So, yeah, unfortunately, my travels have not taken me down there.
I love the time down there. I went to this great breakfast spot so much that I went back the second day. I think it was called like the Toasted Marshmallow or something. I definitely butchered that. Let me know, Blaze. Is there like a toasted something good breakfast spot? A little bit of a chain down there. They have an original one up by a couple of the race shops up there in Mooresville. So really enjoyed that. But let's turn the page here. We are going to be looking at North Wilkesboro, and let's start with the entry list, which we have 20 cars currently locked in, including Ross Chastain, Austin Cindric, Austin Dillon, Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, Chase Briscoe, Chris Bell, Josh Berry, Joey Logano, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Alex Bowman, Harrison Burton, who's returning in the number 51 car for Rick Ware, and then Daniel Saurez also locked in. And we have 18 cars currently lined up to compete in the Open. Noah Gragson, Justin Haley, Ty Dillon, Cody Ware, who will be in the 15 this weekend, AJ Allmendinger, your guy, Rod, Bubba Wallace, Todd Gilliland, Riley Herbst, Zane Smith, Cole Custer, JHN. Also have a little Eric Jones action, Ty Gibbs, Ryan Preece, Chad Fincham returns in the 66, Michael McDowell, Carson Hocevar, and of course, Shane Van Gisbergen as well. Rod, would you like to go over the format here, please?
Yeah, so again, as all the All-Star races do, there's an open part of this, and then there's, of course, the main event. And for the Open, all of those drivers that Seth had just said, they have a chance to compete to make it to the main event. So 18 cars are competing for the chance only to get in off of their finishes in the Open race. And then, of course, there is the fan vote. So the person that gets the fan vote also gets to be in the race, which, by the way, any vote cast for Carson Hocevar will immediately be disqualified just because I say so. But yeah, so the Open and the heat racing, they're set by the pit crew challenge. So here's how this is going to work, right? So in the past, they've done this and they're bringing it back where you get 3 laps. Mm-hmm. And this is everybody gets to do this. It's not just the open cars. It's not just the guys that are already locked in. This is for everybody. So you get a lap, and then you have to make a pit stop, a 4-tire pit stop, and then run one more lap on top of that. So the combined time of all of that stuff is actually used to decide all of the starting positions, right?
Okay.
So this is where you are determining the open race spots and the actual race spots. So yeah, it all comes down. They were doing it before where they had the pit stop challenge, mm-hmm. right, where they were doing the pit stop separately from the actual qualifying, but now they're lumping it back all together again. So you go do the out lap, you make the pit stop, the 4-tire pit stop, and then you come out and you run one more lap on top of that. So based on all of that, based on all the starting positions of that, the open race is going to be a 75-lap race. The starting lineup is going to be a 75-lap race. And that's where you're going to decide the actual All-Star starting lineup. Mm-hmm. Okay? It's crazy. It's a whole lot of qualifying. It's a whole lot of running around. So when they do the heat races, right, they'll do one heat race. They'll do second heat race. The first one decides the inside row.
Yes.
And then the second one decides the outside row. So, wherever you're at in the qualifying, as far as the pit stops, that sets you up for the qualifying race and so on and so forth. Right. Mm-hmm. And then you do that. So the open cars then have the opportunity to try to race themselves into the race. That is a 100-lap race. They get a break somewhere around the middle to do their maintenance, to change tires, to, mm-hmm. Get some water or whatever. It's the intermission that they do in the open race. And then, of course, at the end of the full 100 laps, like I said, the top 2 of those advance. And then, of course, the fan vote gets the third spot in the open. So there's 20 cars locked in to the All-Star race proper. Okay. And then those 3 extra drivers. So that makes 23 drivers for the All-Star race. This year, it's been 200 laps in the past. Now it is 250 laps for this main event. Like I said, we're tacking on 50 more laps. There we are. You get a competition caution right in the middle. And then, like you said earlier, there's a promotion, right?
The Marcus Smith caution.
Oh, man, I got so excited about that. Hit my microphone. But yeah, how many of you have been at your local racetrack and all of a sudden there's just this random caution that comes around? That's your promotion caution.
Yeah.
Guys running away with it, and they're like, But here's the catch, right? They can't throw it. They cannot throw it. They can throw it anytime before lap 220. But if there's a natural caution that happens, they cannot do it after lap 200. So you've got about a 20-lap gap in there where they can throw it. And then if there's a natural caution, then that the option is gone. So Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. 250 laps now. We saw Kyle Larson, we saw Joey Logano, or do things with it. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, completely agreed. Appreciate that detailed breakdown there from Rod. And when I first started getting into the week, I was like, man, I'm going to be pretty hesitant, I think, this week to pull the trigger on some bets because I am worried about that promoter's caution. But at the same time, these restarts here at North Wilkesboro, they've been quite chalky, right? Like generally track position's been the name of the game, specifically after the repave, because we did see a repave of this track. We'll break that down here a little bit later, but we did see a repave here in 2023, which kind of changed some things. Looking at the schedule a little more here as well, Friday night, the Cup practice is going to go off at 5:05 on FS2. Open qualifying, All-Star qualifying, 6:10, 7:05, also on FS1. Saturday, then, we got truck practice and qualifying in the morning, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time is that truck race. The Window World 250 stages for that race are going to go 70, 70, and 110. Over on FS2, then, at 5:10 Eastern time, the Cup heats, which Rod also pointed out. And then on Sunday, All-Star Open, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. That's going to be 100 laps, and 250 laps is that All-Star race at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I wanted to break down this North Wilkesboro track a little bit more in depth here, though. It is a 0.625 mile short track with a unique uphill backstretch and downhill front stretch. So a little bit like a roller coaster is kind of the best way I can describe North Wilkesboro. And banking is 14 degrees in the turns, 3 degrees in the straight. This went from the oldest surface in the series back in the day to the newest following a repave in 2023 after the All-Star race there. Seemed to race a lot differently, harder to pass since we've seen the repave, looking for this track to potentially wear over time. When looking at some comp tracks, there are no primary comp tracks for North Wilkesboro. However, there are some secondary ones. Phoenix, Martinsville, Richmond. Those are the three that I think everyone agrees on. Then there's some debated ones. Some people factor in Gateway. We factor in that a little bit to our betting model. And then some people also factor in Iowa. We factor that a little bit in, but in different ways. So Gateway, Iowa, almost kind of like tertiary comps. And then there's secondary comps again, Phoenix, Richmond, Martinsville. Looking at some of the trends here as well from the past two races here. Kyle Larson, he won from 16th place in 2023. That was before the repave. Joey Logano dominated this race from the pole, won it in 2024. The other driver to win the pole, though, someone I'll talk about later, Rod, Daniel Saurez, led 55 laps and finished P7 in 2023. How much do you think track position matters after hearing that?
I mean, it's going to matter because, like you said, with the repave, it's sort of just a difficult situation when it comes to passing. And we did see that. We saw that with Joey Logano and him being able to win from the pole. So really what this all boils down to is that first caution, right? And then the restart afterwards. And then if they do end up throwing that secondary caution, and what that's going to do.
Yeah, and when I was looking at some more trends here, one thing I like to do kind of at these fun one-off races is look, okay, what kind of manufacturers have the edge? And we actually got some manufacturer lines out there this week, which was cool. I don't remember seeing those at a lot of these one-off races. But I took the top 5 cars over the past 2 years at North Wilkesboro. We've had 4 Fords, 3 Toyotas, and 3 Chevys. So really no edge in manufacturers here. I don't think I could honestly see any one of these 3 manufacturers winning. So I'll be out of that market this week and I'll not be investing there. And only one driver has top 5s both years here at North Wilkesboro. It's Kyle Larson. We'll talk more about him later. And then the winner from the All-Star Open, kind of interesting here. It has come from the front rows both the time. So you want to have a good pit crew that you know is going to put you out in front of that race. Josh Berry won it in 2023 from P2 in the 48 when he was subbing for Alex Bowman. And then Ty Gibbs, he started on the pole in 2024, dominated that entire race, led every lap. Berry went on to finish P15 in the main event after transferring in, and then Ty Gibbs P9. So while we like these all-star guys, we'll probably see some updated lines come Sunday, maybe after there, before if we get some time. I'm not expecting them to necessarily be competing for a win here.
Yeah, and you can't even bet on them to win the All-Star race right now because you don't know who's going to be in. So yeah, that's the tough part. And yeah, when they get there, yeah, right. They're starting so far back in the field that they hardly ever get a chance to win.
Let's round out Horizon Forecast with our iFantasyRace.com Asterisk Mark Driver of the Week. If you guys haven't checked out iFantasyRace.com, what are you doing? Go over there. Ryan and his entire crew, they work diligently day and night to be providing some of the top fantasy racing and NASCAR betting stats for you. Last year, William Byron looked about 10th at like the 10th best car in last year's North Wilkesboro All-Star Race. But the race was not incident-free by any means. He finished with an asterisk mark 19th place finish. On lap 60, Byron was running 11th, but then not much long after, he had a down pit road. He had a broken toe link, which dropped him several laps down, dooming his day to a poor result. In terms of total speed rankings, Byron was 12th. Honestly, man, I am very much fading William Byron this week. We can talk more about that later, but he seems to not really have some speed off the truck here at North Wilkesboro for whatever reason, despite having some really good runs at the comp tracks.
Yeah, and last week was a frustrating week for him as well. So you got to talk about kind of rolling into this weekend with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. And sometimes that doesn't go away. I mean, I know you're racing for $1 million, but at the same time, you also know that this is an exhibition race. So you're not going to try, I guess, as hard to put yourself in a bad situation. So, yeah, William Byron probably not going to go after it as hard if he doesn't qualify well this weekend.
Agreed with you there. Blaze letting us know that he's from Hickory, North Carolina. Oh, from Hickory. Okay. They got a short track out there. I've been dying to see as well. I'm saying he's driving down to Charlotte for a couple days. The famous toastery, that was the breakfast spot I had. Very good stuff, Blaze. I think we ate there and then we checked out JRM. So great day in my opinion there. But let's go ahead and let's move into what everyone's here for. Let's get into the parking garage props and fire up our best bets for North Wilkesboro this weekend. Let's get after it. All right, we're in parking garage props, and let's start with the impressions of the books. Honestly, Rod, I was pretty surprised, and because there's been a lot of these races where I got to fire up the old Bovada, and we don't really necessarily want to promote offshore gambling here on the program, so no Bovada lines for me. But that's because honestly, really every book did a pretty fair job, I thought, of putting out different markets. All-Star Open lines were out there, today as well. So I was fairly impressed with the offerings we had. I'd still love to see more books, and I'm sure as the week rolls along, maybe we'll see some more top fives, no top tens at any of these books, which is certainly acceptable for this kind of race. What did you think about what the Sportsbooks gave us this weekend, Rod?
I think they did what they needed to do. I think they knew that they needed to get something out for everybody. And I know, for what they've learned about NASCAR fans is they are hungry for odds as soon as you could possibly get them to them. But what I would have liked to see, and I know Cody brought this up earlier, but I agree with them 100%, to make the main event, to be not just who wins the Open, but or who wins the fan vote, or, those types of situations. I would have loved to have seen top fives. That doesn't seem to. I know we got top threes in some markets, but I still would have liked to have seen some top fives, maybe some fastest laps, just some of the ones that are inconsequential to what we've seen. But I mean, listen, beggars can't be choosers, and can we get a little more? I mean, yes, what you gave us was great, but I don't think anybody's ever going to be satisfied with just what you give us.
Yeah, two quick thoughts on that. One. Again, Bovada did have a market to advance into the All-Star race. So if you were interested in maybe finding someone who could maybe get second there, that's a way to get invested over there at Bovada. Also, over at Bet365, they have the win, place, show market for the top three this weekend as well. So you have to you have to put down an outright. You have to double that play to get invested with that, just like horse racing. We've talked about this kind of earlier this season on the show. But another way to kind of get invested over there to kind of fill that. So if you want to take a top three for the All-Star Open, that's really the only place you can do it. I flirted around a little bit there, and then I ended up I'm just going to take some old-fashioned outrights. But I think that's a great place to start, though, Rod. Let's fire up some bets here for the All-Star Open, that 100-lap shootout we're going to see earlier on Sunday. Who do you like? Because the betting favorite is once again Ty Gibbs. We cashed a huge ticket on him last year. I laid 4 units down on the 2-1 outright. He drove off into the sunset. It felt absolutely fantastic to have that. However, given his recent form this season, the weird mechanical issues for JGR, I don't feel like there's much of a gap from Ty Gibbs' talent and equipment from him and some of the other drivers we have in this market. What do you think?
Well, okay. So Ty Gibbs fans, y'all hate me already, and that's fine. We've already come to peace with that. But to me, he's not driving as well as everybody wants him to drive, right? Everybody thinks, and I don't know if it's the disconnect between what you think and what you see, because there's a lot of Ty Gibbs fans that have still convinced themselves that he's going to go out and win every single race that he's out there. It's almost like Marcus picking Christopher Bell to win everything. They just pick Ty Gibbs to win indiscriminately. And he's not living up to that right now. He's got some top 10s. That's fantastic. Like, great, good for him. But that you don't want top 10s out of Ty Gibbs. You want top 5s. You want wins. You're expecting him to be one of the more, I don't want to say elite, but at least one of the better drivers in the field week in and week out. You're not getting that. So for me, it's like, I'm not, this is why, and then people are like, oh, you just hate Ty Gibbs. I don't hate Ty Gibbs. I'm recognizing what's happening here without blinders on. Like, I just see that it's not a guy that I want to put money on week in and week out. I get it. I know he did fantastic at this race last year, and that's fine and well, but you're still seeing a much different Ty Gibbs this year where he's not performing at that level. So I don't think he's going to go out and have a lights out performance at this race. So as far as him being the favorite, I can't get behind that.
Okay, then who do you like in the outright market when it comes to this All-Star Open 100 lap shootout, my friend?
I am on Ryan Preece, and honestly, only because the 6-1 number is fantastic for a guy that is not Ty Gibbs. He's not heralded. He's not driving that golden goose of equipment, and yet he's still getting the most out of it, right? 4 top 10 finishes in 12 starts this season. He does have a top 5, but he's a guy that's won. He's a guy that's actually the best driver right now in RFK, believe it or not. The guy they brought in this year to be the 3rd driver is the one that's outperforming Brad Keselowski. He's outperforming Chris Buescher, and he just is coming off of a 7th place finish last week at Kansas, a 3rd at Las Vegas, a 9th at Homestead, and what's more impressive, 7th at Martinsville, so a short track top 10 in this situation, where you can't say the same about some of these other guys that he's going up against, right? And for Chris Buescher, or I'm sorry, for Ryan Preece, he's been showing better speed than Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski, and I think he's got a fine chance, especially if he qualifies well, to actually get into this, and again, to win this one outright.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I have a half unit on Ryan Preece, also to win the All-Star Open, 6-1 at BetRivers. You found this at Caesars. And Ryan Preece, a guy who has short track pedigree, right? And he comes in 17th in our projections, which is the 3rd highest of any open car. And this is despite him never making the race. So he's missing some huge data points that these other guys have. He did finish P4 in the Open in 2023. And also, I think the thing to keep in mind is that if we're just looking at 2025 stats, he finished 7th at the Ville, better than anyone in this field. Had the 8th best average running position at Phoenix, 10.7, before finishing P17, the best in this field as well. So Ryan Preece is 6-1. I agree. I really like him this week. I also like Bubba Wallace to win this race at 3-1 as well. Bubba is ranked 8th in our projections, and I'm going 1.5 units on this. He finished P6 last year in the All-Star main event. He outperformed his 12.3 average running position, so did have a little bit of luck, but at the same time, he had to transfer in last year, so he was starting towards the rear, made his way up through the field very quickly. The year before as well, 5th in average running position, 7.4 in the main event, finished runner-up in that 2023 All-Star race. P3 at Martinsville earlier this year, also 11.9 average finish at comps last year, the best among all the open cars. So Bubba Wallace 3-1, Ryan Preece 6-1. Those are kind of my ways. It's really a hedge against Ty Gibbs here, which again, he cashed me one of my biggest tickets of the season last year, and I'm still going against him. Want to hear what the chat has to say here. First, it's Elliott saying, playing devil's advocate, thinks Gibbs will again smoke the field in the Open. Good on ultra short tracks like Bristol, the Clash, and facing lower quality field in this Open. I totally understand that, but definitely likes Preece as well at that number. Andrew asking, was McDowell leading and Gibbs dumped him last year in the Open? So actually, I believe that was 2 years ago. Josh Berry was winning, and didn't McDowell like kind of run Berry up, and that's how Gibbs ended up. Or no, Gibbs was winning 2 years ago. I take that back. Gibbs was winning the Open 2 years ago, and McDowell ran him up, and we had a Josh Berry ticket that ended up cashing because of that, Rod.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. So, yeah, McDowell, he's going to get feisty here. If he's out of this one, he's going to, this isn't a points paying race where if people are out of it, they're just going to let you go past them and lap them. There could be a little bit of treachery down the stretch there. So that's, I think, where we're both going here for the All-Star Open. Let us know in the chat, guys, where you guys are going for the Open. It sounds like Elliott's taking a little bit of juice over there on Ty Gibbs. I'm going on the Bubba Wallace 3-1, BetRivers unit 1.5. Rod and I are both going on that Ryan Preece All-Star Open outright 0.5 of a unit for me at 6-1 as well. So let's go ahead. Let's transfer to the main event here. Rod, what did you find out there in the outright market when it comes to some of the favorites?
So look, I know you're going to talk about Larson in a second, but the only thing that kind of got me out of Larson was just the fact that he's going to be qualifying for the Indy 500 this coming week. And so Allgaier is going to be prepping his car. So we don't know where he's even going to be starting. So I went a different direction. I went to Joey Logano. I know that we like to kid a lot about even year and odd year Joey Logano and how even year Joey Logano's got it nailed in, where odd year Joey Logano is sort of not the second thought, right? But I don't know. To me, something about Joey Logano this year, he's sort of feeling like maybe a 2 point or even in a half year Joey Logano, where he'll jump up and do a couple of good things, like win an All-Star race. He did it last year, and at 8-1 for the guy that did it last year, right? Especially if he does qualify well again, then that's kind of a really good number considering some of the other outrights that you got on there and the outright numbers. So I feel like Joey's at the right number to try to do it again and come back and win this race for a second year in a row. Because guys like Joey Logano can do that kind of a thing. He's proven that he's able to win races and just win in crazy situations, right? I mean, first times on new tracks and all this other kind of crazy stuff. So, yeah, Joey Logano is one of those guys where you hate to say it, but I think he stands a chance at winning this year or this year's All-Star race.
I can certainly see it, man. Joey Logano is one of those drivers who, when he gets a lead, it's hard to get it from, especially on a track like this. We've seen it at the Clash. He's not afraid to go out there and get rough and rowdy in these tracks where, hey, that's what it takes to pass people, right? So Joey Logano, I don't hate that number at all. 8-1 feels like a pretty good number. And as you mentioned, I am going with Kyle Larson here on the outright 6-1. And yes, you mentioned it. It's kind of the elephant in the room if you're going to be betting Kyle Larson this weekend, is that he is not once again qualifying for this race, not practicing again. It will be Gator in that car. We'll see what he can do, but Kyle Larson will be coming likely from the rear in this one. And after being locked on Larson last weekend, unsuccessfully trying to slow play the market, still cashing a plus 375 outright, I'm going right back in. I'm going pre-practice and qualifying, and here's why. Larson is the only driver in this field, as we touched on earlier, with top fives in both races. He was number 2 in average running position in 2023's race when he won, and last year started out back without qualifying and still drove up to P4. He was one of the few cars in that race as well that could really pass. I just think at a 6-1 number, I don't think that's factoring that in. And now we get 50 extra laps. We get an extra promoter's caution that could stack the field up again. I felt like if we got one more caution, one more run there, Kyle Larson was in contention last year to potentially knock off Joey Logano. So I think Larson picks up the momentum here in North Wilkesboro and carries that into Indy next weekend and to the Coke 600, where it could have an absolute monumental week for motorsports fans. And I think it starts right here in North Wilkes.
There are very few drivers in the entirety of motorsports in general that can just jump from one car to the next and you see no fall off in performance. And he's one of those guys. So as much as I fear him coming from an Indy car, and maybe not even being able to make all of what's going on, this is a NASCAR. I mean, it's like, I would say it's like riding a bike, Tim, but it's like driving a car, Tim. He just doesn't, there's no differentiation between what he's driving. He just drives fast and he drives aggressively. And so for Kyle Larson, a 6-1 bet is probably the best you'll ever find on Kyle Larson. So you're right, get in pre-qual, because this number may not stay that way, even if he ends up not making the most of the qualifying efforts, and Allgaier has to prep the car for him.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a little risky. Like, the thing is, you're hoping that he stays clean. Like, he has to stay clean as he's making his way through the field. But he did it last year. That was the first time on that he'd even driven on that surface as well. So I think he at least has a little bit of experience driving on this newer repave. He knows what to expect. I think Marcus Smith, if he sees Kyle Larson coming, dude, it's lap 219, throw the caution. Throw the caution, Marty Smith. Let's go, baby. Let's go. All right. We also have some outrights, a little bit on the longer end of things. Where are you going with your long shot outright, Rod?
This is a Kyle Busch revenge tour, 25-1 for Kyle Busch. Who was bringing it up earlier that it's Kyle Busch. Hey, listen, he got taken out early by Ricky Stenhouse. This is the one that caught Stenhouse's dad in the pit lane for a while, and they got into fisticuffs after that race, right? Where Kyle Busch was like, "Look, man, I suck too. Why are you taking me out, bro? This is the worst season of my entire career, and you're making it even worse." So I think, Kyle Busch, he's just been on the wrong end of it for a very long time, and it's so frustrating to watch one of the greatest drivers out there struggle as much as he has. So maybe this is an opportunity for Kyle to just say, "Hey, look, you know what? We're going to go out. We're going to win $1 million, whatever it takes for us to go out and win this race. We need this. We need a win, and we need something. It doesn't matter if it's an exhibition race. It doesn't matter if it's against my son. We need a win." And I think this is the type of race. 25-1 for Kyle Busch. I mean, I don't even want to read off his stats from the prior two races, because it really doesn't matter.
They ain't good.
No, they ain't good at all. Again, which one of them was Stenhouse assisted? But by the same token, again, you're talking about one of the better drivers in the entire sport, in the career, in his entire career of the sport, just going out there to try to win this race. And that team is too proud to not put everything they've got into this, and hopefully stay away from the 47 car.
This is a vibes play, right? I think this is a vibes play, because you look back at Kyle Busch's recent form when it comes to North Wilkesboro specifically. Bottom 7 last year in average running position in this race. We do have to preface that he got into it early. I mean, 3 laps in with Ricky Stenhouse kind of derailed his entire race. And then the year before, bottom 2 in average running position. However, there are some pluses for Kyle Busch, specifically this year at comp tracks. Looking at Phoenix, he was top 8 there in average running position that day. So had some good speed off the truck in the desert. And then when it comes to the comp average finishes this year as a total, he's also top 7 here with pretty decent finishes. He was 8th at Phoenix, and then 17th at Martinsville. Kind of had some late run issues there in the Ville as well. So I don't hate Kyle Busch, but I just think he doesn't have the speed. I just don't think he has the speed. And I don't know if you caught those the interviews he did with Denny Hamlin on Action is Detrimental. I don't know if now's the best time for Kyle Busch too. Vibes aren't very high, especially when we learned that he actually could have had an Indy 500 run a couple years ago. JGR said no, and then he got snaked out of one by Kyle Larson a year ago as well.
Yeah, again, but see, that's all the more reason for him to go fired up.
True.
True. When you kick the hornet's nest, you got to run away from the Hornets. And I think that's kind of what he's going to be doing this weekend. He's the one that brought it all out so now when you look in life, when you talk that much trash, you got to back it up. And so this is the week for him to prove that he wasn't just blowing hot air all over the place.
Yeah. Let's see what you got, Rowdy. Come on, buddy. Listen, dude, I need at least 1 or 2 more Rowdy wins in the Cup Series before it's all said and done. I just need it, man. We know he's going to eventually go down to the Truck Series. We know he's going to run and split a truck with Brexton probably one day, and we're going to be betting Kyle Busch, plus 100 outrights every single weekend. But before then, we need some big gainers to cash. 25-1 at Kyle Busch. Don't hate it. And hey, it's that BetMGM, if that tells you anything, Rod. So tinfoil hat a little bit there, sponsor.
And he is going to be running the truck race the night before too, so he'll have some track time on that.
Yes, we'll talk more about Kyle Busch in the truck race later on. But first, I have a little bit of an outright for you, a little bit of a gainer. It's Daniel Saurez on the outright, 80-1 at FanDuel. Give me it for a half a unit. And look, man, Daniel Saurez should not be this far down in the outright odds. He is the 16th lowest odds to win this, or highest odds, to win this race, the 4th lowest. Cindric is one spot above him in the odds. He's 35-1. So we're getting more than $45 to the unit on this. And like, let's not forget about Mi Amigo's 2023 performance here when he started on point, led 55 laps at North Wilkesboro, had the top average running position of the day, 3.1, and finished P7. Then we come back last year. He came out of the gate hot once again, started P4, didn't have a great run, but started P4. And there's nothing to write home about him with the comp tracks this season. I couldn't make any stats sound good if I wanted to, Rod. But like the speed is also not there in Trackhouse, so I understand why people would be like, no way I'm betting this. But listen, if Saurez can go out, find speed off the truck, we have a nice cash out waiting for us by Sunday morning, I believe. FanDuel, I always like placing my futures at FanDuel and my long shot outrights there, because this is somewhere where you can go and they're going to hedge very aggressively against themselves. If Daniel Saurez goes out and he puts it P6, P7 even maybe off the truck, and he's heading there to start on the first 3 rows come Sunday, I think you're getting a cash out opportunity. I also saw an 11-1 that I almost placed at FanDuel as well, which was way higher than everywhere else for a top 5. So I like Mi Amigo here, man. Like I get that he hasn't been fast this year and Trackhouse hasn't had the speed, but here, like, I'm trusting the process at North Wilkesboro. He's had it. He must like roller coasters or something, because that's what he does, and he shows up here.
You don't see it, but his hands are up when he's driving, rolling the roller coaster. No, but Daniel Saurez is one of those drivers that he'll pop up every once in a while, and it's like a whack-a-mole. You never know exactly where he's going to pop up. Is it Sonoma? Is it North Wilkesboro? Is it, Atlanta? Where's Daniel Saurez going to pop up? And so I do like 80-1 for the potential for him to do it here, because this is, again, one of those races where it's such a weird dynamic where it really doesn't matter, and yet
nobody cares.
Time, right?
Gloves are off. Gloves are off. Points don't matter here, baby.
Yeah, you're not chasing stage points. You're only chasing $1 million and a chance to be the All-Star winner. So yeah, this is a race that sort of favors these guys, even though the finishes don't always project that. But at the same time, it does favor the guys that tend to just have nothing to lose.
And wouldn't that put Justin Marks and Trackhouse Racing in a pickle if Daniel Saurez comes out here and wins at North Wilkesboro, a track type he's never won at in the Cup Series? But again, he's had speed here. And look, I know we all love SVG. It's been tough, man. It has been way worse than I think most of us thought it was going to be. Specifically, what we saw from SVG in some runs, like a P12 at Martinsville last year. I remember seeing that this week in the betting model. I remember seeing a really good run preseason for him in the Busch Light Clash. But Saurez doesn't look so bad when you compare to what SVG is doing out there week in and week out. So let me know in the chat. Am I crazy? Am I on crazy pills right now? I need to hear from you guys. Let's go ahead. Let's move into some placement props here as well. What do you have for us, Rod?
Josh Berry, top 3 plus 550. I mean, look, the guy comes out and he wins a race this year in that 21 car, and everybody was like, whoa. But, if you look back at his Xfinity career, it wasn't that bad anyways. And so you shouldn't have been surprised by the fact that he's done well for himself, especially this year. And it's weird because Harrison Burton in the 21, you were always like, man, he should be a top 10 competitor. He should be every single week. We should be nailing top 10s on Harrison Burton. Now we're doing that in the Xfinity series this year with Harrison Burton, but Josh Berry's actually made that 21 into a viable top 10 car almost each and every week. Came out and he won the Open, right, in the 48 car a couple of years ago. So, he's got the speed on this track. He knows how to drive a car, a good put together car on this track. And I see no reason why he can't be a top 3 car I'm not even asking him to win. I just want him to be a top 3 car in this All-Star race at the end of the day, which is, I believe, something that he is fully capable of. He's not afraid to run with the front runners this season. We've definitely, how many times have you heard the broadcast say, Whoa, wow, look at Josh Berry up there in the mix, right? And that's
Fast off the truck too, man.
always, right? So for me, this is just if he can come out, put together a good lap, pit stop, and another lap, and get himself somewhere, like you said, within the first couple of rows, I think he can hang on to that track position. I think he can turn into top 3 performance at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't hate it, man. One of the great things about Josh Berry, while the finishes aren't there consistently, like I said, he's starting top 10 more weeks than not, it feels like anymore. Average starting position currently a 15.2. I mean, that's up there with some of the better people. That's better than Chase Elliott this season. That's better than Ryan Blaney. That's better than Chase Briscoe, Alex Bowman, Ty Gibbs. Like, that's better than some real heavy hitters. And like, I think there's some real speed in this car, man. I saw some comments that we got on last week's episode that was talking about, hey, is there just like, what is Wood Brothers doing differently that they weren't doing with HB last year? I don't think this car has changed at all. I said that in the comments. I just think there's a difference in racecraft, and I think we could potentially see it here at North Wilkesboro, a short track that, you know, plays right into this guy's background, comes from that type of realm before he linked up with Dale Jr. and company over there at JRM.
Yeah, and honestly too, because you're right, the racecraft. Harrison Burton grew up as a race car driver, right? He grew up as somebody who's watched his dad, watched his uncles, and all these people that race cars around Harrison Burton. So he learned how to be a race car driver. Josh Berry got plucked off the street by iRacing, and he learned a whole different manner of how to drive. And so he brings a different style into it, and you can completely tell the difference between the two.
Yeah, completely agreed with you there. I did want to bring up a question here from our guy Andrew in the chat. He's asking, what are our thoughts on Chase Elliott? He was pretty dominant at the Clash, and no, absolutely was. Andrew, if you're over there at the IBT Racing family, if you're in the Discord, if you have access to the model, Elliott's very high up there, 84% score. That's a B. That's third in our rankings. Hasn't had the best runs here at North Wilkesboro. That's kind of what's working against him a little bit. Did have a good run. Did finish up inside the top 5 a couple years ago in 2023. But last year on the repave, he was not fast. That's really kind of pulling him down in the projection models. However, you look at some tracks earlier this season, Martinsville, average running position, Chase Elliott, number 2. Ends up out there and just had great finishes at these comps so far this season as well. He was 10th at Phoenix. He was 4th at Martinsville. Average finish of 7th there. That's the 4th best. And I get that he was fast at the Clash, and like you could almost factor in Bowman Gray as a comp track here. I didn't because it is a little wonky. But Chase does have great finishes at all the comps last year as well. Elliott 3rd in comp finish for 2024. So there's a lot going for Chase Elliott. It's just, it felt like the last 2 to 3 months, he hasn't had speed. He's been hanging around, 10 to 15 most of these races. His average running position most weeks is 11 to 15. And at the price of 10 to 1, I just don't think I can do that when I can get someone like you threw out, Joey Logano, who won this race last year at an 8 to 1. When I can, go a little bit longer here and get a Chris Buescher at 20 to 1. I just don't think there's enough upside to be 10 to 1, but I would not be surprised in the slightest if Chase did win that with all this said.
I will throw out this though, and we talk about qualifying positions and all that based on a lot on pit stops. Chase Elliott's pit crew not been the best this year, right? He's actually fallen within the top 15.
Good point.
He's behind guys like Austin Cindric, Brad Keselowski, Briscoe, Suarez, Hocevar, even 10.373 is his average stop, whereas Joey Logano's is 9.678. So, I mean, you got to factor that in the mix too. This determines where he actually starts on the grid to qualify and do the heat races and all that. So, yeah, there's a lot working against Elliott in this race.
Yeah, absolutely there. Andrew saying thank you. Thank you for the great question there, Andrew. We appreciate it as always. And Elliott in the chat, a reminder saying he likes Chase a lot this week. Check out his article with a betting model preview on Friday. That's inbetweenmedia.com. Elliott's dropping that every Friday morning for you guys. So we do give you a little preview. We don't give you all the stats in there. We don't give you the full look, but we will give you a little bit look at the top 10, what those IBT grades are for you. A little free look over there from our guy, Elliott. Is that a bear in Elliott's picture? What is
what is he got?
Rave?
No, it's like a rave. Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Elliott is a little bit of a degen out there when he goes to these music festivals. At first, it looked like a bear for some reason, but my eyes are terrible, Rod. And I'm only getting older, man. Do you have I know you have glasses. Do you have like bifocals? Do you have readers?
I may have to before it's all said and done, because now I'm to the point in my life where I've got to do this when I look at my phone. So
Dude,
it's
I'm already there, Rod. I just turned 27, so I am worried. Like I can see my phone better without my glasses, and I've had glasses since I was in first grade. So
welcome, son. Welcome.
I did not mean to age you as well, Father. I did not mean to do that. Apologies there. I was just curious because it was a conversation I've had recently with someone. Let's keep it moving.
I don't ever hide my age. Don't even worry about it. Everybody knows how old I am.
Just turned 21. Still looking fresh as a daisy, my
Hells
friend.
yeah.
All right, I got another bet for you here, and who else but Kyle Larson? -106 for a top 5 at BetRivers. Don't need to get into the whole Larson spiel again, but this is going off for as low as -170 at FanDuel. So to get this at almost even money from our friends out there in the Berg at BetRivers, give me a -106. I'm going 4 units down on it, man. I think with the promoter's caution, I think with the extra time in this race, he's going to be able to get up there, man, and have a good run here this weekend. So Kyle Larson, top 5. It's my biggest bet of the weekend. I'm all in on the number 5 card this weekend once again. Let's head to the matchups category here. And Rod, we honestly have to give the books praise because we've never had, at least to my knowledge, head-to-head matchups for the All-Star race. So that's another thing we didn't even talk about with impressions of the books. Like, good on you, baby. Good on you. We got them at Caesars. We got them at DraftKings. We got them at BetRivers as well. What did you find in the matchup department this weekend that struck your fancy, Mr. Hot Rod Villagomez?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. This is another vibes play again for me, and this is Alex Bowman over Chase Briscoe. I get it, and I know that Chase Briscoe just had a fantastic run for all of you Chase Briscoe fans, and he's starting to look like the guy who needs to pilot the 19 car over the next course of the rest of his life. However, it hasn't been that way all season long for Chase Briscoe. He's steadily putting stuff together, and that's fine. Like top 10 finishes haven't all been there for Chase Briscoe this season in general. I know him and Alex Bowman actually both have the same amount. They both have 4 top 10 finishes this season overall. But for Alex Bowman, you pretty much know he's going to be consistent every single week. Granted, there have been a few inconsistencies this season that have kind of thrown you off the scent, which makes you feel a little bit bad for Alex Bowman, but he's one of those guys where you can set your watch to him and he's always going to be good. And so for me, this is more of just like I said, a straight up vibes play, because I feel like it's got to be right. This has got to be Alex Bowman. This has got to be him working his way back in there and beating Chase Briscoe. And really, this is just more of a one-off type of a situation. Next week, I'll probably go back to Briscoe over Bowman, where we're at in Charlotte. But in this instance, I think Alex Bowman over Chase Briscoe is where I'm going.
Okay. I can understand the play, and Bowman's been very good to me lately when I put him on a betting card, so I can't hate it there. I will say, kind of adding on to Elliott's point here in the chat, saying Bowman did not run well here at all last year. First full-time HMS card, missed the All-Star race since Brian Baker's in the late 2000s. Also said team is probably putting more focus on the Coke 600. I'm with Elliott here. My issue, I think, with Alex Bowman just a little bit is doesn't have any of the stats to back him up here in these races. Did not perform well in the Open last year either. And also Chase Briscoe, while it's been like honestly pretty disappointing, I have a couple futures on him, which I am not liking at all. He was top 5 in average running position at Martinsville, well better than Bowman, who was outside the top half of the field in that metric. So I like Chase Briscoe a little bit, but honestly, if the Chase Briscoe that we've seen most this season, Rod, shows up where he's bottom 12 in 2025 comp track average finish at these 2 comps that we've been to, which 2 of his best tracks, Phoenix and Martinsville, like I get, like if you're going off that narrative where he finished 35th at Phoenix, 9th at Martinsville was really unimpressive that day, I get it. It's been a disappointment for Chase Briscoe, and this guy has to turn it around fast, man.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it just does, for me, the consistency for Chase Briscoe, and this is his first year in the 19. I know Alex Bowman has not had a great run at this, and I get that. I fully support all of the facts against it, but I just, for some reason, feel like Alex Bowman has got more behind him this year Because again, remember he missed it because of injury a couple of years ago, and now he's back. So yeah, I don't know. To me, this is it's going to be close. I'll guarantee you that much. But I still take Alex Bowman over Briscoe.
Yeah, and the price of 110 minus 110, I can't blame you. It's a little less juicy than what I have out here for you in the matchup department. I'm going Denny Hamlin minus 130 against William Byron. Going 3 units on this one as well. I really like this play. I came into this week wanting to fade one person, William Byron, who we already touched on earlier in the iFantasyRace.com Asterisk Mark Drive of the Week segment. William Byron is 10th in the betting projections this week. He had a bottom 5 average running position in both North Wilkesboro races, 16.3 average running position, and finished P20 in 2023. And then last year, again, had that asterisk mark finish, was 12th in the total speed rankings before breaking his toe link. Denny Hamlin, on the other hand, I think Denny Hamlin could very much easily win this race. We saw him have very fast cars when it came to some of these comps that we've been to so far this season. Also had a rocket, almost potentially was able to track down Chase Elliott at a similar Bowman Gray earlier this year. Denny Hamlin ranks 2nd in our projections. He joins Kyle Larson as the only driver with an A- or above grade. He's finished P13 and P2 here over the past 2 years. However, he was 6th in average running position in 2023, 7.5, and just didn't get to finish that year. Last year had an even better average running position, 5.7, the 4th best there. Denny Hamlin, not only 2-0 against William Byron here, but also 2-0 against him this season at our comp tracks. 1.5 average finish between Phoenix and Martinsville. Also, 5-2 against him last season at our comp tracks. 6.14 average finish, one of the best here in the entire series. I love Denny Hamlin this week. I would not be surprised if he won. I was thinking about maybe splitting up my unit allocation between him and Larson, but maybe if there's anyone to get burned at the end, could be Denny. But I like him a lot here against William Byron, who I am fading heavily.
And just remember, Byron's coming off a pretty disappointing finish last week at Kansas too. I mean, he was showing a lot of speed and just wasn't able to get the finish to prove it. So yeah, I love this one. And in fact, like you, I'm a lot behind Denny to maybe actually win this race.
Let's go ahead, Rod. Let's move to the Truck Series where they'll be going off on Saturday afternoon. We do have Kyle Busch in this race, which brings Corey Heim's outright closer to 2-1 in a lot of books. Kyle Busch also checking in right around 2-1. So how are we playing this, Rod? Is it Big Dog Nation? Are we letting the big dogs cook and eat here down in Wilkes County? Or is there maybe a long shot winner you're expecting?
You know, when you look at the truck race, it's been such calamity because it should be Heim winning every single race. And then something happens that Heim, takes Heim out. But I will say that if there's any race, this is it, right? Kyle Busch coming back down. That dude wins. He wins every truck race he's ever in, except for the last few when Heim's taking him out. But here's the thing. Just don't even think about it. Do this. Heim, Busch, put them in exactas, and you can even split up a half a unit. It doesn't matter if one of these hits, you're going to be happy either way, right? Busch, Heim, Busch, then you're good because it doesn't matter who wins and who finishes second, so long as either one of them do it. And at the outright prices that you get these guys at, just take the exacta because if one wins, the other's probably going to finish second. So I'm just taking both. I'm taking Busch, I'm taking Heim. That way, if Corey Heim does have something go wrong and he has to fight his way back up through the field and finishes second to Kyle Busch, I'm still rejoicing because it doesn't matter to me if he finishes second or if he finishes first. So yeah, it's funny. It's a weird strategy. Never done this before, but I feel like this is the kind of race that you could do it because with Kyle Busch, he's going to come down and he's going to be damn good. Right. And you can't not put anything on Kyle Busch to win a truck race. So you might as well do it like this and have yourself some fun cheering for it. Cause you know, if Kyle Busch passes Corey Heim in the last lap for the win, you're still good.
No, I totally understand that. And, you know, it's kind of like almost in the air this weekend. We're going down to the Preakness Stakes in Baltimore as well for the second leg of the Triple Crown when it comes to horse racing, if you guys are betting any ponies this weekend. So makes sense that you kind of get into that get into that market a little bit there at the Exactas. I love the play, honestly. I think it's very creative, Rod. I didn't think because I can't bet Corey Heim 2-1 because Kyle Busch is in this race, and I can't bet Kyle Busch 2-1 because Corey Heim's in this race, right? So kind of in a predicament here in the Truck Series, and a little bit of a cool play here. Elliott saying, love a good Exacta, still salty at Briscoe for blowing his Bellberry one at New Hampshire last year. Dude, you and me, I'm salty at myself because I wanted to put an exacta at Bristol earlier this season on Larson and Hamlin, and I just didn't even do it. And they, of course, cashed that. So totally understand that play from you here. I also have a little bit of a Truck Series bet for you. I forgot to make a banner for it, so I'm just going to bring up the guy that we already talked about, Layne Riggs. Yes, he was DQ'd for an illegal bet, as we mentioned earlier this episode, but I'm trusting the revenge tour narrative here, man. Minus 121 against Ty Majeski. This is over, I believe, from BetRivers is where I found this. And look, man, I just I trust this narrative. I trusted it with Jesse Love earlier this year. I've trusted it with Joey Logano earlier this year. Majeski has not been great this season either. I don't know what's happened to Majeski, but average finish of 14.1. It's almost like he has a championship hangover a little bit. That's the same average finish as Layne Riggs, but keep in mind, Layne Riggs' average got crushed last week by that DQ. That totally took him down. So I think Layne Riggs could have an absolutely fast truck here. Majeski, average running position here in 2023, 9.5. Kind of backed into a P2 finish. And then last year was really a non-factor in this race. Meanwhile, Layne Riggs, he had an average running position very, very high after starting 23rd as well. Riggs got him there. He ends up finishing third that race, right behind a couple of these heavy hitters. So I like him who, he got him earlier this year in Martinsville, our only comp track as well. Layne Riggs 1-0 against Ty Majeski at these tracks, 1-0 against him when he's been competing in the Truck Series at North Wilkes as well. So give me a little Layne Riggs on the bounce back. I honestly, if I can maybe find a boost this weekend, I might even take a little shot on the long shot, Layne Riggs outright. I'm that confident in this guy. I'm that confident in the equipment. Let's see it this weekend play out.
Think of how fast he looked last week at Kansas. He was making so many moves through the field. He would go back and then he would come back up again. He would go back and come back up again. So yeah, I mean, I love Layne Riggs, and we like to joke on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast that Ty Majeski's the piano man. He seems to find every piano that falls on him. So that's been his season so far, and it's tough because piano makers can't make them fast enough to keep dropping on Majeski this year.
Absolutely agreed with you there, man. That is going to do it for us tonight, though. On the back road, if you've rode with us this long, please do us a quick favor. Give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to the whole channel while you're here. We've got NFL betting, college football betting, NASCAR betting, F1 betting, PGA betting, and of course, some entertainment betting, all to help you cash more and enjoy the ride along the way. Also, be sure to check out inbetweenmedia.com for some great written content. We also have some upcoming live events coming over this summer. Draft Night Out, that'll be once again live in Canton, Ohio as part of the Fantasy Football Expo. And then, of course, we have our live golf scramble there, the IBT Classic first year. Rod, what do you have going on at the NASCAR Gambling Podcast and SoYouLikeSports.com?
Indeed. Yeah. So follow me on Twitter. First and foremost, that's where you can find all of my fun stuff, including the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. Cody and I broke down the All-Star Race today. Tomorrow, we'll be breaking down the truck race. And then Friday, we'll come back at you with some DFS. And look, man, if you like sports, prove it. My site, youLikeSports.com. I've covered everything from esports to dart to handball to rugby to Aussie rules football. There's UFL content on there. Yeah. Again, if you like sports, prove it. So youLikeSports.com.
SoYouLikeSports.com. Let's go, baby. Appreciate you, Rod. And guys, if you want more of Rod, myself, Elliott, the whole IBT Racing family, make sure you're heading over there. You can come over on our website. You're going to get entry into our memorabilia giveaways, access to our weekly betting model, and be able to join our Discord as well with ourselves and some of our other best friends in the industry. Rod, appreciate you. Appreciate everyone tuning in. It's been a fantastic episode. Keep it in between till next time. Enjoy All-Star Weekend. See you.